It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
Get ready for epic savings at Best Buy. Right now, you can save up to $700 on select Alienware and Dell gaming products. Perfect for leveling up your gaming experience. Plus, grab the latest Android Google Pixel at an unbeatable price. Don't miss these incredible deals. Shop now at bestbuy.com and upgrade your tech today.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level when we shut down to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Ready to bring your vision to life? At Small Rig, every idea, design, and product is inspired by you, the creator. With our industry-first under co-design mode and the Dream Rig free customization project, we unite with global creators to turn big dreams into reality. Whether it's a cage rig or mount, Small Rig's versatile gear is built to elevate your craft. Small Rig, where your creativity meets our innovation. Go to smallrig.com.
At Rolls Rolo, we don't just sell wallpaper, we create cohesive, cozy spaces. Our deep understanding of design means every pattern, color, and texture is carefully chosen to complement your home. Plus, we use advanced technology and water-based inks for vibrant, eco-friendly prints, ensuring a healthier environment. Visit rollsrolla.com to transform your space today. That's ROLLSROLLA.com today. At 25 Home, our ultimate goal is to provide you with a transformative experience, making each day feel like it has an extra hour. We believe your home is more than just a space, it's a sanctuary where comfort, relaxation, and happiness thrive. Discover the difference at 25 Home today. Shop now at 25home.com.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. We are so happy to have you. We, of course, are live in Central Texas from the Alico building, high atop on a day where folks are really worried about the weather around Texas, and they should be because there's concern up north especially. There's a lot of stuff going on that up there as far as schools are shut down in the Dallas area. They're expecting maybe 6 inches of snow. Now, I don't think that's going to come through at this point, but they did wake up to a slight dusting here in Central Texas. I was good. I mean, a short commute for me, but it didn't seem like there was there could be on the horizon. I have to film the Big 12 show today over at the channel I used to work at, KWTX. So King McClure, who is a member of the Rogue Media family, King is not going to travel for that show. We're going to have him live via Zoom. This is for the Big 12 show. But we were talking about like there's concerns like, will we even be able to film our show because there could be like breaking news around the weather. So everybody be safe. It seems like it's kind of that time of year when you see what's going on in California. It's like, oh, your heart aches, and now you want to make sure everybody's safe here. But we have a nice, we do a really good job of like overshooting the mark, preparing people for weather like this, which is, I guess, is what you have to do. Not only does it, one, drive ratings and generate clicks, but two, it keeps people safe. So I guess it works out. As for today, the first thing I want to report / share and then get into the Cowboys overnight, as of last night, the Cowboys, all their assistants became free agents, which is like, this is again one of those like clunky deals where, you know, Jerry Jones is taking his time, which he can do that. He's the boss, but he does it at his own risk. Like you know, if you're in charge in life, we run into this with people as well. You make decisions, and you understand these are decisions you can make because you have the autonomy, authority, or whatever, the ability to make these decisions. But when you make the decisions now, you're responsible for the consequences. So Jerry Jones doesn't want to be rushed, and he wants to take his time and think about what he's going to do with Mike McCarthy. By all accounts, that's clear. That is what is going on. Well, by taking his time now, you've got other teams that are asking to interview Mike McCarthy. The Bears did. Their request was denied. After the 14th, that's Tuesday, he will officially, Mike McCarthy will be a free agent, so he can interview with whoever he wants. But right now, you know, hot names like defensive backs coach Al Harris is somebody people are crazy about. Well, he can get poached by another team right now. He's a Cowboys assistant that could be taken away. Mike Zimmer. By the way, congratulations, Mike Zimmer, on your engagement to a model. That is something that just congratulations. I'm sure he's happy. I know I would be happy. And then so you got Al Harris, who I mentioned is a hot candidate. Mike Zimmer also is a candidate, right? Like a great coach. Clearly has some like he's got some riz too. So that's a guy you might want around the team. So these are things now that like Jerry Jones is going to have to, he'll just have to live with regardless of what happens. What do you got, Scotty? I can tell when you got something to say.
I'm just chuckling when you say Mike Zimmer's got riz, man. He and Bill Belichick.
They both got riz.
What are they? What's in their water, man? We gotta figure out. What's going on.
There's something that, you know, there's a trait that it takes to lead men and to be a leader and to have that charisma.
That's true.
That's an attractive quality. I've always said this as a young man. I'm no longer a young man, but when I used to turn and see a successful man with a beautiful woman or a woman who I found, you know, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, attractive, I had a period where maybe I was insecure, where I used to get upset, like, oh, that guy he's got deep pockets, you know, he's got money. At the end of the day, that's part of the package that women look for. So you really can't begrudge that. Like, security is very attractive for people, you know? So, as is the riz.
Well, I think to your point, maybe the kind of men who are confident enough to pursue beautiful women are the kind of men who also are confident enough to go make a lot of money or be successful.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Those go hand in hand.
And have the confidence in the esteem like a guy like Mike Zimmer does, like a guy like, of course, Bill Belichick does. So whatever, way to go. Bill Belichick, I still say, a little much. Like a little much. That woman is a lot younger than him, but whatever. All right, but I do want to take a look around the NFL because I think this is so neat. This was a report from Yahoo Sports. Just going to do a quick read here of who NFL teams are interviewing. So let's start with the Jets. The Jets are interviewing 14 people for their head coaching opening. That's exhausting. When you consider these interviews can last days. Aaron Glenn, obviously one of the hottest names, Lions defensive coordinator. Matt Nagy, the Chiefs offensive coordinator, former Bears head coach. Brian Flores, the Vikings defensive coordinator and former Dolphins head coach. The Brian Flores thing is so interesting because you can say whatever you want about his like dealings with the league and the way he left the Dolphins, but it's clear this dude can coach his ass off. So be on the lookout for Brian Flores. Who's the guy that's on Thursday Night Football? Ryan Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick is always taking shots at Brian Flores. I don't know enough about that situation, but it's like, just chill, dude. I feel like every time I turn around, Fitzpatrick is talking about how he was a dictator in Miami. Flores was. So that was not a pleasant experience. Whatever. Josh McCown, who just seems like years ago was quarterbacking for the Eagles. And I think it was the 2019 playoffs when who got hurt at the time? Carson Wentz was hurt. He ended up being our starter when we lost to the Seahawks in the wild card. Anyways, now he's coaching for the Vikings. He's their quarterback's coach. He has interviewed for the Jets job. Arthur Smith, Jets interview. Mike Vrabel, Jets interview. Ron Rivera, of course, we know Rex Ryan did. Brian Greasy, there's a name for you. Yeah, that's right. Former college football analyst, NFL analyst, and San Francisco 49ers quarterback coach. Vance Joseph, Broncos defensive coordinator. Wasn't he the head coach of the Broncos too for a second? Vance Joseph?
Yes.
He was.
Yes, he was.
Okay. Bobby Slowick, Texans offensive coordinator. Joe Brady, Jeff Ulbrich. He's the Jets interim. Steve Spagnuolo, the Jets defensive coordinator, and Darren Rizzi. All those have interviewed for the Jets job. All right. The Bears reportedly will interview 14 people. Aaron Glenn, Mike Vrabel, Brian Flores, Arthur Smith, Pete Carroll. There you go. They requested Mike McCarthy, denied. Ben Johnson, Thomas Brown, Anthony Weaver, anybody else of note? David Shaw, the former Stanford football head coach, and he's a senior personnel executive for the Broncos. So that's an interesting one. And then the big one, Scotty texted me about this last night, Matt Campbell interviewing with the Bears. That is, I think that's a super interesting interview. And I'll be interested to see what happens with that. I would imagine just because of the region of the country, like right away, that kind of makes a little bit of sense, right? Like Matt Campbell staying in the Midwest, coaching for the Bears. For some reason, that clicks a little easier for me, as opposed to you telling me that Matt Campbell was interviewing for the Giants job. All right, the New Orleans Saints, 8 candidates. Right, the Saints, they don't like to spend too much money, so let's not have a million guys come in here. Aaron Glenn, Mike Vrabel, Joe Brady, Mike Kafka, Anthony Weaver, Kellen Moore, David Shaw, and Darren Rizzi. The Patriots don't appear to have a cast quite yet. Mike Vrabel, Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, Byron Leftwich, and Pepper Hamilton. So that is interesting, or Pep Hamilton, I should say. Pepper Hamilton is a law firm, and they are. And then the Raiders. Remember Pepper Hamilton? That was the independent firm that
I remember too well.
Yeah.
Any Baylor football fan,
and they're based out of Philadelphia. Okay, so the Raiders, of course, they are in the mix now, and they've looked at Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, Steve Spagnuolo, and Todd Monken. And okay, so this is one thing. Okay, we just mentioned all these teams and all these coaches, like the usual suspects who are being interviewed. Again, if you're a Cowboys fan, like you kind of have every right to be like, what the F? You know, like Scotty, what do you think about that? You're a Cowboys fan. I just mentioned literally every viable coaching candidate on planet Earth in the NFL. And now if you don't, honestly, rational thinking, like I'm not a general manager. Sometimes I think when I see some of these decisions, I think I could be.
Yeah.
And I don't think that I'm splitting atoms over here as far as football is concerned. But I mean, just simple logic tells you the Cowboys could be missing the carousel spinning, and the Cowboys, all these coaches are getting off, and the Cowboys might not have an opportunity at the guy they want at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's really disappointing. And especially when like there's so much talent. Like there's so much coaching talent right now and guys like Ben Johnson at Detroit who like it's just a matter of time before they are a head coach and likely successful, you know. I think the Cowboys might have had a real shot at Vrabel before the Patriots got in on this stuff. Like there's so much talent and to keep, I mean, I've ranted about it here before, to stick with Mike McCarthy, who, you know, there's one argument that says, well, he won a Super Bowl. And there's another argument that says he had Aaron Rodgers and he only won 1 Super Bowl,
Aaron
right?
Rodgers in his prime.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Andy Reid would have won 5 with Aaron Rodgers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like it, it's really frustrating, and it's really it feels as it has felt for 30 years like Jerry Jones wants to be mediocre in his decision making, but elite in his product on the field, and that's not how that works.
Yeah, no, not at all. No, it's and I think that this is like we're coming up towards. This is again like we talked with Cam about this when, like the dysfunction within these organizations is real. The fact of the matter is the Patriots, if you're really, really getting down to it, should have fired Gerard Mayo before that last game and had somebody who they trust throw that last game so they could have had the number 1 pick. Now they have the 4th pick.
Yeah. Just incompetence.
It's like you traded the number 1 pick for nothing.
For nothing.
You know, I mean, really.
Maybe now you use Joe Milton as some bait to get a piece because he played so well, but like that's not worth giving up the number 1 overall pick.
No. So that is dysfunctional as far as the front office and ownership is concerned. And what we're seeing with the Cowboys, once again, is like dysfunction. So the great Bill Parcells quote, which he got from his father, I finished this book about Bill Parcells this summer. And he said, my dad always said, never discount stupid. It's always in there somewhere. When you see something crazy, and it's true, like, remember, these are humans making these decisions. And that's why fans, I think, sometimes lose their minds. And I think that I'm a big, like, trust the organization. They wake up in the morning. Jerry Jones puts his first foot on the ground trying to win for the Cowboys, right? He does. He's not trying to lose, but his way of getting there is not necessarily
doesn't work
linear.
And here's what I'll say about Jerry Jones, and it ties back to what we talked about Tuesday with his appearance on Landman. Is
Landman? What's Landman?
Landman. Sorry. We're a morning show now, Pete. I got to wake up here. No,
man,
dude,
let's go watch some Landman. Right,
dude. Here's the deal. Jerry leads, and I relate. I'll just say this before this is a criticism. I relate to Jerry in this.
Yeah.
I am like Jerry in this. Jerry leads with his heart and not his head.
Yes.
So why do you bring Zeke Elliott back instead of signing Derrick Henry? No other reason than that sense of family.
Yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to do it.
We drafted him, and he's ours.
Yeah, he's drinking some Johnny Walker Blue over the summer. He's like, we're going to do it.
Yes. Why do you pay Dak Prescott like he's Patrick Mahomes? Well, because we found him in the 4th round, and we've stuck with him, and that's my guy. You know, why do you stick with Jason Garrett for so long? Why do you stick with Mike McCarthy in this scenario? All of it is because he's like, dude, well, I got to be loyal to my guy.
I so relate to you. And I'm just like you. Like, if somebody comes into my orbit that I like and trust, I will, at the risk of my overall growth, sometimes be like, okay, like, this is my guy.
Right.
This is my person.
And I think in life, by the way, that's not usually a bad strategy.
Yeah.
Loyalty and deep friendship and those kind of bonds go a long way in life.
Yeah.
When you are the GM, Jerry the owner, I'm cool, whatever.
Yeah.
Jerry the GM, that's not how you run a successful football team.
No, it's not. And that's how Belichick stayed afloat and stayed atop of the NFL.
Right.
Like getting rid of like cutting
he
Lawyer,
was the opposite.
Lawyer Malloy. People were like, what?
Yeah.
Like he was the heartbeat of this team. And it was time for Lawyer Malloy to go. And that was it, you know, and they move on in the right direction. There were other specific instances I'm sure that Cam could give us, but he continued to do that. It was really smart and shrewd.
Yep.
And by the way, when you do that, you're not the most popular guy in the building. But look, I mean, if it's a popularity contest, Jerry Jones isn't winning that either. I mean, so, right? I mean,
well, again, Jerry reminds me a lot. I'm going to make a weird stretch comparison with some Baylor things here. Jerry, in some ways, reminds me of Kim Mulkey, where when he's in your corner, man, you love Jerry. Kim Mulkey. That's what people said about Kim Mulkey. Man, when Kim Mulkey's for you, there's not a better ally.
Yeah.
But if you're not one of their people,
it's so funny you mentioned that. I did like a little bit of a mini like deep dive on Kim Mulkey last night because I was watching the Baylor women's game, and I was thinking about Nikki Collin and then how she took the job and how tremendous her job has been. The job she has done has been. Nikki Collins been like, you couldn't have asked for a better replacement. She's coached her way out of Kim Mulkey's shadow. Really. I mean, she has. I mean, Kim Mulkey is still.
I think there's a large segment of Baylor fans who would disagree with you.
Well, look, no.
I resonate with what you're saying.
Look, it was the best choice you could have made. Nikki Collin didn't knock on the door of Mack Rhodes' office and say, hey, fire or get rid of Kim Mulkey. I'm going to be the right replacement. That's not what happened.
Right.
Like the school made a decision separate from hiring Nikki Collin to sever ties or to leave Kim Mulkey out, like whoever tells the story. It was not a pretty ending to the marriage. So then of all the people you could pick, I think Nikki Collin's probably one of the best you could pick to fill her shoes as a person and as a coach. So kudos to Nikki Collin. But I was doing the deep dive on Kim Mulkey, and it was like, God, she was so good. I mean, so good as a coach and as a steward for the school. And I guess she got a little bit out of pocket, and that's ultimately what happened.
She's a big person, a big personality.
Yeah.
Pete, what I'll say, Kim Mulkey, legitimately, I don't think this is a hot take. Third best women's basketball coach ever.
Yeah. Well,
ever.
Yeah.
Like, behind Gino and Pat, she's on that level. Like
I mean, totally agree with that.
And so that's why I think I said I resonate with what you're saying with Nikki. To replace that and have so much success is huge. There will always be a segment of Baylor fans who remember having the argue, likely like third top 3 women's basketball coach of all time. And you don't replace that. Like, no. In some ways that is irreplaceable.
No, you don't replace it. And you're right. Like, there is a very good reason for fans to be like, hey, what the heck? We had this, but it was just too much for the school.
Yeah. And, we talked about this a few weeks ago when Griner was honored. I am hoping there's a day when those two parties can make up and Kim can get her flowers here, beyond what's already been celebrated.
I think she will. Bobby Knight went back to Indiana.
There you go.
I
time heals a lot, right?
Time heals a lot of wounds. Yeah. All right. We got a big interview coming up, right? Yeah. It's right now, right, Scotty?
He's not in here yet, but he should be here any minute.
All right. We're going to talk Notre Dame. I can't wait. Penn State. That's tonight, folks. And if you're in like the North Texas, Central Texas area, like, man, what a great excuse. I mean, you should be right in front of the TV at 6:30. I mean, you got nowhere to go, nowhere to be. Be safe, stay at home, watch the college football playoff semifinals, and we're going to get into it after this short break. The Pete Sousa Show continues after this.
Farmhounds offers natural treats and chews made with quality products that support family farms, regenerative agriculture, and humane farming practices. Give your dog the best with wholesome, organic ingredients that promote health and happiness. Shop now at farmhounds.com.
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com. That's CLEAN email.com. Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com. Want to turn your passion into profit? With Blogify, creating a blog has never been easier. Build, customize, and grow your site with powerful tools designed for beginners and pros alike. Start sharing your story today and watch your audience grow with Blogify. Download Blogify now in the App Store. Easy Sun has been living fearlessly under the sun since 2016. Born from sailors' need for convenient sun protection, our mineral sunscreen is crafted with natural ingredients offering broad spectrum protection against UVA and UVB rays. Safe for your skin and the environment, stay protected on the go with Easy Sun, your ultimate sun care solution. Visit EasySun.com today. That's EEZYSUN.com. Stay connected no matter where you are with eSIM-X. Say goodbye to expensive roaming charges and physical SIM cards. With access to over 200 global carriers, we make mobile connectivity seamless and affordable for travelers worldwide. Join the future of communication today at eSIMX.com. That's ESIMX.com. At Tusain's, we understand that maintaining a healthy lifestyle can be challenging, especially in today's fast-paced world. That's why our mission is to make fitness accessible to everyone, anywhere. Committed to excellence, we adopt a user-centric approach guided by ergonomics and medical science. With a team of seasoned professionals in R&D, design, and manufacturing, we prioritize quality across our entire product line. Visit Tusains.com today and start your journey to better health. That's TOUSAINS.com. Protect your car with 3W Liners all-weather floor mats. Made from durable materials like TPE and rubber, our mats are designed to withstand rain, snow, and mud with deep grooves to trap dirt and liquids. For a custom fit and advanced protection, visit 3W Liners. That's the number 3, WLINERS.com today.
Sports.
It is the Pete Sousa Show presented by Slovacics, and we welcome right now the publisher of Irish Breakdown. Nobody knows the Irish better than this man right here. Former coach, player, Brian Driscoll, joining us live from Miami. What's happening, bro?
Enjoying this warm weather. I'm so sad I'm not in the 20-degree weather of Indiana. I just can't tell you how heartbroken I am about that.
Dude, you escaped. So there you are. I mean, even
they
in
tried
Texas.
to keep me in. They canceled my flight and everything on Monday, so they tried to keep me in Indiana, but we got out. We got out,
Baby. And how is it down there? I mean, can you give a little scene set what you've witnessed so far?
It's beautiful. I mean, there's a lot of Penn State fans, a lot of Notre Dame fans. You know, it's not real hot. It's really nice, 60-degree weather, just beautiful, beautiful time of the year, and a big game and a historic bowl game against two blue bloods that haven't played each other in a long time. So, I mean, what's better than this, right? Who's got it better than us? We get to talk about stuff like this in the middle of January.
No, dude, you're exactly right. And you've been covering, I mean, around the Irish forever, but covering them for over a decade, well over a decade. What is your level of anticipation for this matchup? Long time coming for fans. I imagine it's even longer for somebody like you.
Well, yeah, because the big thing the big battle that I had for prior to Marcus Freeman being hired was, could Notre Dame get back on top again? You know, and there was all these excuses to why, and there was all these things, and I never bought it, Pete. There was always like, top athletes don't want to go to school. Says who? I mean, I watched Myron Rolle become a brain surgeon, and still play at Florida State, right? Reggie Bush was an over 3.0 student. It was more about people want to play, they want to be a champion, right? They want to go to the NFL. They want to be a high draft pick. They want to do all these things. And there's no evidence that tells me that kids don't want to do that if you give them a reason why you want to do it. I mean, there was talk of Notre Dame is fading, and then Lou Holtz comes along and wins a championship, and Notre Dame has 3 straight number 1 recruiting classes, and they're getting kids from all over the country. And I just never bought that excuse that you had to shop down a different aisle, that Notre Dame couldn't get to this point in time, that Northern football couldn't kind of get back to some of its dominance of the past. And we're seeing that. And it really comes down to, obviously the NIL era has helped to a degree, but I mean, these are 2 teams in Penn State and Notre Dame that are primarily homegrown teams. The 2 of them combined, of their 22 starters, only 7 of them are portal guys, and so these are still teams primarily built through high school recruiting and development. And it just kind of goes to show that with all the changes coming along, that's still the best way to build a team. And actually 3 of the 4 teams are that way, because Ohio State has some big name transfers, but they're also still primarily built, the majority of their roster, through kids that they recruited at the high school level. And I always felt Notre Dame was capable of being on the stage and competing and being as good as Georgia and Ohio State and those teams. And now they're getting to the point where they've got opportunities to prove that. And Still a lot of work to be done, but I think the win last week showed a lot of people that that Notre Dame can play at that level and compete with the top teams, which is something they hadn't done in a long time.
You said a little more work to be done, but a lot of work has gotten done to get to this point. What don't people know? Again, what don't people know about Marcus Freeman that makes him special? Because you see him from afar, he's very likable, but why is he so good?
Well, he's very likable because he's genuine, right? And one of the quote unquote criticisms that people have of him is he's too honest in press conferences, and sometimes you're just like, hey man, maybe you don't tell people that. But the other thing about him is, let's not forget, this is a former starting middle linebacker under Jim Tressel at Ohio State. He is off the field, a very nice, a very calm, a very generous, a very giving guy. But you see him in practice, you see him on the sidelines, you see the former middle linebacker that had over 100 tackles for a Jim Tressel team back in the day. He's very intense. He's very passionate. But look, young people can see through a lot of the fluff, a lot of the BS, a lot of the stuff that's just not real. And whether you like him or not, you know that what Marcus Freeman is telling you is it's genuine, and kids want to play for that. Want to play for someone who's like, I want you to challenge me. I want you to hold me accountable. I want you to push me. I want you to demand my best. And I may not at the moment want that, but I do want that. And that's what he does. He's hired coaches that believe in the same thing. And these kids play hard for him. But at the same time, it's also, these aren't like what we would consider quote unquote 3-star recruits that are try-hard guys. These are really talented athletes and really talented football players that are there too. And what we're seeing from this coaching staff and led by Marcus Freeman is they're much more able to get the best out of this team on a consistent basis than we've seen in the past. But at the same time, you have to ask yourself, how much of that was because of the Northern Illinois loss? You now have this talking point of, hey, if you don't listen to me, this could happen again. You know what I mean? And I think something like that helps as well.
What changed about the team? You mentioned that Northern Illinois loss. I was calling the game at North Texas that day. And I remember I was in the TV booth and I looked at a screen in the neighboring booth and I saw Northern Illinois win. And right away, you're just like, wow, like Marcus Freeman might lose his job. Like that's the first thing you think of, right? This is like week 2. And now, I mean, and that's why I'm here and you're there. I mean, like you are on the inside, you knew better than that. But what changed about that team that day? What changed?
There were plenty of people that cover and follow Notre Dame that felt the same way. I mean, you can't lose to Marshall and Stanford and Northern Illinois. But really, Pete, what changed that day is that was a talented Notre Dame team. We saw that a week before against Texas A&M. That was a very confident Notre Dame team, but that was also a very immature Notre Dame team, as we found out. And it was a team that, while they had some veterans like Howard Cross and Riley Mills and Xavier Watts, Riley Leonard, this is still a very young team that on offense started at the time 9 players that had freshman or sophomore eligibility. There's several true sophomores and redshirt sophomores and redshirt freshmen playing on defense. And they kind of had this think, well, we beat Texas A&M, so Northern Illinois is no problem. We're just going to roll the ball out and just kind of walk through them and take it for granted. And there's even players talking about that on the Here Come the Irish feature on Peacock. They say, like, look, we just kind of thought it's Northern Illinois. Who's that? And what that loss did is that gave Marcus Freeman and his staff sort of the fuel to say, you can't take anybody for granted. You can't assume anything. You've got to go out there and give your best every week. And then they made some changes structurally to how they prepare. And since then, they've not only won 12 in a row, but they really haven't played many competitive games. I mean, only one of those 12 wins was by single digits, and that required Louisville scoring in the fourth quarter to make it a single-digit game or single-score game. And so they've not only played well, but we're seeing close to the best version of this team for a while. And the other thing, too, Pete, is they play great team football. You know, when the defense struggles against USC, the offense steps up and rips USC up. When the offense is struggling against Georgia, the defense and special teams step up. And that's been true all season. And when they play well in all 3 phases, it's hard for teams to hang with this football team because they do have talent.
If Notre Dame wins tonight, what's the headline? What's the first line of the story? Who performs? What happens?
I mean, I think it's got to be about the trenches, right? I mean, for all the changes in football, Pete, and all the new offenses and air raids and NIL and transfer portal, football is still a game that really stays the same. And that is, at this level, against these type of teams, who wins in the trenches? Who can go out there and on both sides of the lines win that battle, because these are two teams that are constructed in very similar ways. And so if the lines play well, then that's how Riley Leonard has a big day, right? Like that's how the Notre Dame secondary forces a couple big turnovers, because Drew Aller was pressured and he has to force some throws into coverage. I mean, Notre Dame's not number one in the country in forced turnovers by accident, right? They're not just, oh, look, a ball came our way. I mean, like people say in the Georgia game, well, if Georgia doesn't turn it over, you guys realize those were forced turnovers, right? Those weren't like just like the Navy game when Notre Dame played Navy. There was 2 turnovers where they just dropped the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, there was, it's like it just nothing Notre Dame did. They fell on it, but they just dropped the ball. Both of those turnovers against Georgia were forced, and that's primarily what Notre Dame has done. But a lot of it comes down to when they play well in the trenches, this team is hard to beat, because then Riley Leonard can really go off and have time to throw. And when they don't, the offense sputters like it did against Georgia. And I don't know that you can just keep, hoping that your special teams gives you a 98-yard kick return and your defense gives you a 13-yard field every week. And I think this Penn State offense is more dangerous than Georgia's was, if we're being honest about it, even if Carson Beck played. And so they're going to have to be at their best, but they're going to need a little bit more help from the offense in this game. And I think that'll be the storyline if Notre Dame comes out with a win.
As far as Love and him coming back and playing, what do you see his impact being tonight?
That's a good question. Notre Dame's been very close to the vest about his health. I mean, I do expect him to play. I do expect him to be a feature back. But the nice thing about Notre Dame is they're not just the Jeremiah Love show on offense. I mean, Jadarian Price has been dynamic. I mean, he's the guy that sparked him against Texas A&M. Jeremiah Love gets hurt in the third quarter against USC. Jadarian Price comes out and rushes for 100 yards in the second half after he went down. And that's what makes this team so dangerous. I mean, they beat Florida State by 49 and Jeremiah Love rushed for 19 yards. They beat Georgia by 13, and I think he was held to less than 20 yards in that game as well. So if he's healthy, then they have a shot to be that dynamic big play offense. If he's not, then you just lean a little bit more heavily on Jadarian Price and a little bit more heavily on Riley Leonard, and you roll. And that's what's made this run game so good this year is you can't just shut down Jeremiah Love and it's like, all right, cool. Like if you shut down Ashton Genty, Boise, no chance to win, right?
Yeah.
If you do that with Notre Dame, it's like, okay, well, Riley Leonard can hurt you like you did against Georgia. Jadarian Price can go off like he did against Texas A&M and USC. And that's really where you want to be. And that's also something that's different from past Notre Dame teams. If you shut down Will Fuller, okay, Notre Dame's not going to do a whole lot. If you shut down, the run game in 2017, they're not going to beat that many good teams. Now they can just hurt you so many different ways. And that's what the best teams do. That's what Penn State does.
Yeah.
Right? It's okay, you can shut down the run game, but you forgot to cover Tyler Warren. You know what I mean? Or you cover Tyler Warren and lock him down, but you forgot about Nicholas Singleton and Katron Allen. And that's true for Ohio State. That's true for Texas. And that's what gets these teams on this stage.
I got one more for you before I let you go, because I'm sure you got a very busy day. What are you most worried about if you're Marcus Freeman or even if you're Brian Driscoll? Obviously you want to be at the championship game covering it. I mean, it's good for business. It's good for football, good for you. I say it's good for football because I think Notre Dame being involved is good for football. But what are you most fearful about when it comes to Penn State?
It comes back to what we talked about at the beginning, right? It's Penn State is a team that is capable of hurting you in the trenches. And there were some teams this year that you'd watch them say, that's a good football team, but they don't really have a shot at beating Notre Dame because they can't beat Notre Dame in the trenches. I think Indiana's a heck of a football team, but I said they can't beat Notre Dame in the trenches for 4 quarters on both sides of the ball. They just can't do it. Northern Illinois did. I mean, you go back and watch that game. At the end of the day, there's this fluke play and that fluke play. You can talk about all you want, but they whooped Notre Dame up front on both sides of the ball. That's really what it came down to. And since then, nobody's been able to do that. And so Georgia did it on one side of the ball, but Notre Dame's defensive line was even more dominant than Georgia's defensive line was. And with Penn State, they're a team that has the talent to where they can actually win both battles if Notre Dame doesn't play well. And so if Notre Dame doesn't win, you ask about storyline, I think that's going to be the storyline on the opposite side. And they'll talk about Singleton and Allen and Tyler Warren and Drew Aller, but it's going to come down to the Penn State offensive line held the Notre Dame D-line in check and vice versa. On the other, same thing on the other side of the ball. So if they don't win, and it sounds simple and maybe lazy because we keep talking about trench play, but when you look at how those two teams got here, that's really what it boils down to. I mean, why did Michigan beat Washington last year? Trenches. Why did Michigan beat Alabama last year? Trenches. What made Georgia so dominant 21 and 22? They were dominant up front on both sides of the ball. That's still what football is all about.
Yeah, no, if the guys that are in the trenches are not doing their jobs, then the guys who are so wildly talented, right, they're not able to do theirs. They're just not.
Right.
Brian Driscoll, dude, the place to go is Irish Breakdown, and you are the man. I really appreciate you taking the time on a day like today where I know I'm not even going to say I know. I can't imagine how busy you are. So I'll definitely be in touch, and I really appreciate you taking time, dude.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
All right, you have a great day. All right, Brian Driscoll from the Irish Breakdown. Nice job by Scotty Swingler, hooking us up with a big guest on a big day. We'll step aside and come back. I got some thoughts on exactly what is going on with Baker Mayfield. I've got the secret to his success. I'll tell you about it when we come back.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. That's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
At Acasis, innovation drives us. Since 2008, we've been creating cutting-edge technology products that make your life easier. With a focus on performance, design, and customer service, we're here to help you work smarter, not harder. Join us on our journey to simplify your world. Visit acasis.com today. That's ACASIS.com today. Unlock a world of convenience with Mully Box, your one-stop solution for personalized subscription boxes delivered right to your door. From gourmet snacks to unique finds, each box is tailored to your taste. Experience the joy of surprises. Subscribe today at mullybox.com. That's MULLYBOX.com. Transform your workspace with Hanomi Ergonomics. From adjustable chairs to standing desks, we provide solutions for comfort and productivity, whether at home or in the office. Improve your posture, reduce strain, and work smarter. Visit us at hanomi.co today. That's HINOMI.co today. Unlock your full potential with Onnit, your go-to for premium supplements, fitness gear, and wellness essentials. Whether you're training hard, recovering faster, or just looking to feel your best, Onnit has the tools you need to perform at your peak. Visit Onnit, that's ONNIT.com, and elevate your mind, body, and spirit today. Get paid faster with Bill, the easiest way to send, receive, and manage your payments. No more delays, no more hassle. Whether you're a freelancer or a business, Bill makes payments seamless and secure, simple, fast, and reliable. Sign up today at Bill.com.
The Pete Sousa Show. Let me finish this. I typed the wrong, instead of tape, I put the word rape in there, so I have to fix this quickly. I mean, that's like, yeah, let me fix that. Okay. So we're back here. My reputation with certain people does slightly come ahead of the content on this show, but we are back at the risk of a second or two to clarify that. All right. So I was getting ready for school today. Right. I want to say school work today. A lot of people have a snow day, but we're here. And I was reading about Baker Mayfield. There's a couple things I just want to talk about big picture. So Baker Mayfield is playing awesome this year. Played really well last year too, if I'm not mistaken. And he said one of the reasons why he is playing so well and has had such a clear head is he told the media that he's off social media completely. And he said there was a point in time when he used to, because all athletes takes some heat, right, on social media. Even we have Sawyer Robertson sitting here tell us, even if he has a great game and they win, he'll still get messages from people that are pissed because, his team went over the over-under, right? Like, so there's just maniacs out there, as we all know. Anyways, he used to, speaking of Baker Mayfield, keep these receipts from people and use them to motivate him. So finally he came to a point where he realized none of this was any good for anything. And he's totally off. And he said it has enabled him to play the best football of his career in the NFL, which, if you think about it, makes perfect sense. There is the reason that the Patriots were so successful. One of the many reasons for so long is there was no noise, right? Like the same thing with Alabama, and a great coach like Nick Saban. No noise. We block out the noise. There are enough distractions in life to begin with, like driving to the stadium and getting in an accident or something crazy like that happening, right? Or there's something going on in your family that you cannot control, right? There are controllables in life and in sports. And it's been proven over time that if you handle those controllables a certain way, that your odds of being successful are increased. Clearly for Baker Mayfield, he doesn't need to be on social media. I don't need to be on social media at the rate that I'm on it, but I certainly do need to be on it to promote this show, to promote the play-by-play I do. And I would be lying if I told you a lot of that promotion for me has landed me other opportunities. It truly does work. But there's a way, it's a high wire act for somebody like me, because then you end up just scrolling through I was yesterday. I will admit this. There is some kind of algorithm that on Facebook, which will lead you to Facebook Reels, which are incidents on planes that are not real. It's clearly it's on a set. Have you ever seen these, Scotty? Where it's there are stories inspirational story from a plane. An old man was wandering around plane. He had a plane. He had Alzheimer's.
No, I've seen more of the fake outrage on planes. Someone.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, someone's
fake.
kicking the seat and then
but it's fake.
Yeah,
but you realize that it's a studio.
It's totally staged.
It's totally staged
for clicks.
Right. Every single you guys have been on a plane, right? Recently, not everybody on a plane is somewhat attractive, but in these videos, they are. Everybody's palatable,
that's hilarious.
Trust me, get on a regular plane.
It's a bunch of regular people.
It's just like walking into a 7-Eleven, So I've noticed that. Anyway, so that's the rabbit hole that I ended up, because I'm a moron. If you completely eliminate that aspect of your life, like Baker Mayfield has done, it clearly puts you in a position to succeed more often. So big time props to him. When I saw that, I was very encouraged. And it kind of moved me man, that's an interesting situation. Good for him. Another thing I wanted to talk about was the Baylor women's basketball team. They had a huge win last night on the road. I needed to watch Arizona State, Kansas, because I have an Arizona State game I'm calling next week. But I was lucky enough to go on our boy Matt Mosley's show yesterday. And Mosley was talking to me about, I told him, I said, I finally have a night to myself. I'm just kind of chilling. And he said, well, the Arizona women and Baylor played tonight. First time Baylor's ever played at Arizona. So I put that game on. What a fun experience, okay? First of all, if you remember Cindy Brunson, she used to be on SportsCenter. She does the play-by-play for all of the Arizona women's home basketball games. And she was so good. I was watching and I was I started to get intimidated and almost like nervous. I was like, who is this person? They were like so good. Like, and then you start to compare yourself. You're like, man, I'm terrible. And then I was like, oh, it's Cindy Brunson. Like, she's amazing. You know, like, so I remember thinking like, hey, that was like very, very cool that Cindy Brunson's doing the game. And then I also was very impressed with Baylor and how they played. I love Sarah Andrews. Like, if you are in the market to just go see a live event or a basketball game and you're in Central Texas, like, Foster Pavilion is beautiful. And you can certainly get an affordable ticket to go see the men, but to see the women is I would even say like a more intimate viewing experience. Like, you can get better seats for cheaper. You're just a little closer to the action, and it's a great product. They beat Arizona last night. The environment at the Arizona game was unbelievable. There were 6,300 people at the game, and you could feel the energy. It went to overtime. I don't know. I guess it's just a way of me being a shill for women's basketball. Is fun, dude. The game was super exciting. I literally had to. I was hoping it would end so I could watch some of Arizona, Kansas, and it did eventually. And I got to see Kansas pull away from Arizona State. Excuse me, I meant Kansas ended up winning by 20 at home. They're coming off a 40-point win over UCF on Sunday. So clearly there's something happening now for Kansas as they're finding their footing as they head into really the lion's den of the Big 12 coming down here as we get into the mid part of January. So Bill Self and Kansas, they're playing really good basketball. But Arizona State too, you have Danny Hurley, who is their head coach. Bobby Hurley is their head coach. We'll get to Danny Hurley in one moment. But Bobby Hurley is their head coach. And they're playing pretty good basketball. And they've got talent all over the floor. They have got a kid named Quintance who is I think he's 17. Just 17 years old. Okay. Up and down the floor. The guy is like a freaky athlete. Jay Williams said that last night. Jay Williams was like, this dude's a freaky athlete. By the way, I really appreciated Jay Williams' call last night of that game. It was John Shambi and Jay Williams was the analyst. And Jay really was pushing this agenda about hard ball screens in college basketball. Hunter Dickinson set a screen on Jason Sanan, one of Arizona State's best player. And Sanan's head almost came off his body. And Hunter Dickinson was called for setting an illegal screen. Jay Williams was like, no. That's not an illegal screen. And I think it was, but he had a point to make. He was like, that's not an illegal screen. He was like, nobody sets screens in basketball anymore. So if you set a screen at all and there is contact, officials are going to call a foul. There are so many like phantom screens that you see, right? A guy will fake a screen and then you fake out the defender and then you're either quickly able to roll to the basket or duck to the basket, right? And take that quick cut. I'd be a little better with a whiteboard, but then that might even be more confusing because I'm not good at that either. But you get the idea. We just don't see regular physical screens anymore. So Jay went on this, like, I don't know, let's just do it by possessions. Like that one possession, clearly he had time to talk about it after the foul. And then he won another possession. And then there was another great play. And he like wanted to wrap up his point, was basically like, look, nobody's playing physical basketball anymore. Nobody sets ball screens anymore. When you set a ball screen now, it is a foul. And he was right. There's not enough. We're so used to no contact as far as on ball and setting screens is concerned that when we see it, it's alarming. I thought that was a great point. But don't get lost in the sauce. The Kansas is up to their old tricks again, beating the shit out of people at home at Allen Fieldhouse in front of like tens of thousands of fans in a scary environment. One last footnote I had that I've been jonesing to get to. You watch any Netflix recently, Scotty? Anything?
No, not really.
Oh, by the way, have you seen the Bob Dylan movie?
Yes.
All right. I don't spoil it for me.
I told you I was going to go see it. I've been very excited about it.
I know you're a cinephile. I like that
last
about
weekend.
You. Okay, so and I'll get to my last point. But what were your thoughts on the movie?
It is excellent. It especially if you just want if you're a true biopic person, you just want to see this person embodied. If you're going in to like nitpick the history of some of this stuff,
I'm not into that.
That's not what, and that's not what the movie tries to be. It's not trying to be historical. It is trying to capture who Bob Dylan was, his personality, his relationships, his art, his talent. And I thought they crushed it. And it's not just Chalamet. The actress that plays Joan Baez is incredible.
Okay.
The actor that plays Johnny Cash, he's in the movie for all of like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Remarkable. Like just a phenomenal film. Like I totally lost myself in it.
So it's great stuff. So I know really, because I love biopics. Is Chalamet, was it difficult for you at all to accept Timothy Chalamet as Bob Dylan? Is he too big a star?
0%.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you what a couple of the things I know from watching behind the scenes interviews. He really plays and sings all the stuff himself.
Okay.
And in almost every scene he's playing and singing, they captured it live. So he's not even like syncing to himself, singing in a studio, right? Like he's actually performing the songs in front of you on camera, and you can tell. And he nails it. Like I actually went back after the fact and listened back to back to some of Dylan's songs, and then Chalamet singing them back to back. It's not identical, but it is so, he got the mannerisms and the quirks, like nailed it. I mean, I think the guy's just crazy talented. Like it's hard, I think, for some people. He's Gen Z and he's goofy and he's kind of
but I also think he's, as a sports guy, he officially crossed over for me on game day.
On game day, yeah.
Whether
he was incredible.
He was, and I think he was like, he approached it like he took it very seriously, which was cool,
Well, have you seen the photos of him when he was like 9 and 10 trying to find New York Knicks, like at the subway and stuff? Like, dude is a sports nut.
So that's pretty cool because it kind of makes him a little more down to earth than I think we perceive most stars to be. Are we far enough away from Bob Dylan? Like, how much did you know about Bob Dylan?
Not much.
Okay. So, and I don't know much either. I mean, I know the music. I know your basics for somebody my age. But I'm not like nitpicking. Mad Dog Russo is like obsessed with Bob Dylan, and he's obsessed with this movie. He's already seen it twice. He's actually going to go see the premiere in Europe because I guess they invited him. But I think he's a good example of somebody who was like, love Bob Dylan, is kind of even keeled enough where he's not going to try to pick apart the movie historically. But it's being received very well.
Here's the thing they did right too, and I don't think this is a spoiler. They didn't try to paint him as particularly heroic or admirable, and they also didn't try to paint him as some
villain,
total asshole. Like they found that through line right in the middle. That is what he was. He's weird. He could come across like a jerk. He could come across as egotistical. He could come across as very sensitive and poetic. And they kind of got all of those. I mean, I don't know how they kind of got all those threads to make this, but it's really good, man. It's really good.
I'm looking forward to
highly recommend it.
And in 2025, when was most of the movie based? Like late 60s?
No. It's his early career. So it's 61 to 65.
That's it.
It covers 4 years. So it's based on the book Dylan Goes Electric.
Okay.
So it tells the story of him kind of coming up through the folk scene, and then transforming into what he became, which was a much, I think, wider genre artist than just acoustic guitar folk music. Right?
Was that purposeful for him, or did he just kind of evolve into it?
I think the movie lets you wonder that.
Okay.
But it only because Dylan's so mysterious and never quite lets you know what he's really doing.
I should have seen it last night. Now I can't go.
But this is how little I knew about Bob Dylan. So I'm a huge Johnny Cash nut. Like that's the guy from that era that I've read multiple biographies. I watched the old video. I just think he's my favorite celebrity ever. And he's got that song with June Carter Cash called "It Ain't Me, Babe." You know that song?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I only knew that as a Johnny Cash song. Bob Dylan wrote that song. And so Bob Dylan plays it in the film. And I was like, oh, cool. He's playing Johnny's song because they were buddies. Yeah. No, Johnny Cash took that song from Bob because he loved, like, Bob Dylan has written so many songs, right? Like, casual rock and roll fans may not know if they've only heard Jimi Hendrix play All Along the Watchtower. That's a Bob Dylan song. Like, there's so many.
There's so much of that.
He's iconic, man.
Yeah. All right, I'm in. I was going to see it last night, but I had my dog with me in the car, and I was like, can she do 2 hours in the car by herself? She can. She's done it a million times before, but I came back from I literally got in the car from HEB, and I looked at her, and she was kind of had energy. And I was like, I can't leave her in the car for a couple hours while I go see the Dylan movie. We're going home. Yeah. So it took Sadie home and watched some hoops, which you just heard about. All right. Something I also have had the opportunity to watch recently. You see what happens when I have a little free time? I watched the Jerry Springer documentary on Netflix. Okay. The best part about it is it was only 2 episodes and only like an hour and a half of my time. Informative. Yeah. Entertaining. Yeah. Totally sloppy. I mean, it's the exact opposite example of like, if you're going to do a documentary about Jerry Springer and a show that was, what it did was amazing, taking down Oprah for the short time it did. And there's so many dark things about that show. There was a murder committed like around one of the appearances. They could have done a lot better. That's all I'm saying. Like, it's amazing. And Netflix still does. It's not as bad. Nothing is as bad as the new way that they do 2020. Nothing is as bad as that now. If you watch that, it's awful television. Like the 2020 I was raised on was Hugh Downs and Barbara Walters and like even John Stossel, like a good TV news magazine. And then it kind of evolved into like Dateline or 48 Hours. But now it has taken on this new identity of it's like people that don't even know about the story, not looking at, they're looking at the camera, like addressing it, like everybody's really selling it. It's just, if you know. But yeah, Jerry Springer doc could have been a lot better. This show, I don't know. I think we did a hell of a job. We'll be back tomorrow.
Hey, can I end this on a positive note real quick before we sign off? So you were talking about Baker Mayfield, and I had seen this headline, but hadn't really looked into it. Did you see what he did a couple months ago for this high school in Florida?
No, tell me.
Let's end on a positive note here. I've got a couple photos. Yeah. So Baker Mayfield,
thank you.
There's this high school called Space Coast High School. And I think based on my light reading this morning, their football program was like really struggling. And he bought them $18,000 worth of equipment, these sweet matte black helmets, new pads, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And they won state. He bought them $18,000 worth of equipment at the beginning of the season. And they won state in Florida 1A football.
Look
and
good,
I just
feel
thought,
good, play good.
And here's what I love about what you said about social media. Like, he didn't do it for clicks.
Yeah.
Like, he and his wife, they was talking about he and his wife just like, were like, dude, we could buy them their stuff. And they're 130 miles from where the Bucks play. And dude, I was just like, okay, and as a Baylor guy,
look at you, Scotty.
Hey, man. And I have a complicated relationship with Baker Mayfield because as a Baylor guy, I hated his guts, right?
Yeah.
Like, I hated it. But like, he's hard not to like.
A complicated relationship, like you dated him.
Yeah.
I love it. I love when people
but he's
say
hard
that
not
about
to
sport.
like, man. Like, seems like a genuinely just normal, down-to-earth, good dude. It's been fun to watch him play well this year.
Yeah. That's great job by you. Nice little positive note to end on. All right. Nothing more to be said, except for we're presented by Slovacics and we love Ray. Stop by Slovacics. We'll see you tomorrow.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down to afterwards, was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning. So we love Extraco.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at 70 miles an hour. I was injured, had a concussion. The insurance company, they delayed. They were playing games from the initial conversation. They weren't going to help me. The biggest thing I learned through this is that you can't go through this alone. I called Daniel Stark. They were going to help me and everything was going to be all right. Daniel Stark got me 10 times the insurance company offered.
The difference is stark.
Experience the future of secure private cloud storage with Internex. Protect your files with end-to-end encryption, ensuring your data stays private and accessible only to you. Enjoy seamless, fast storage without compromising security. Visit Internex.com today and take control of your digital life. That's INTERNXT.com today. Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com.
Farmhounds offers natural treats and chews made with quality products that support family farms, regenerative agriculture, and humane farming practices. Give your dog the best with wholesome, organic ingredients that promote health and happiness. Shop now at farmhounds.com.
Transform your workspace with Hanomi Ergonomics. From adjustable chairs to standing desks, we provide solutions for comfort and productivity, whether at home or in the office. Improve your posture, reduce strain, and work smarter. Visit us at hanomi.co today. That's HINOMI.co today. At Acasis, innovation drives us. Since 2008, we've been creating cutting-edge technology products that make your life easier. With a focus on performance, design, and customer service, we're here to help you work smarter, not harder. Join us on our journey to simplify your world. Visit acasis.com today. That's ACASIS.com today. We are Rogue Media Sports.